Seems like everywhere you look, people are talking about the Devon Larratt versus Levan Saginashvili match, and I've been bragging on this guy for a while, and a lot of people thought I was full of shit. 6'7", 300 plus pounds, long levers, big hands. Seems like everywhere you look, people are talking about the Devon Larratt versus Levan Saginashvili match, and it's going to be huge. But there are two other matches on that card that have huge implications. Today we're going to talk about the giant, Alex Kurdecha, versus the gorilla, Corey West. Obviously, I'm very invested in this match, being that Corey's been my training partner for the last 3 years, and he has made huge gains. I've been bragging on this guy for a while, and a lot of people thought I was full of shit. But this kid's making some waves. This match is huge. It is by far the biggest test he's ever had. But let's go back and talk about both of these guys. We do have some similarities from opponents that they pulled that we can draw some conclusions. But let's talk about Alex for a minute. Alex is a huge human being, 6'7", 300 plus pounds, long levers, big hands, and has had a pretty impressive run. He started back probably 15, 16, I think it might have been the first time I saw him at Zloty Tour. Has made some really good gains since then, went into the top 8. Performed well, ended up losing some long matches to Angerbayev, lost to Trubin, and then the next year had a transition fight with Krause. Took him early rounds, ended up losing like a 4-3 for the transition to the top 8. So we saw him destroy Ryan Espy, and then we saw him beat Tobias. But his biggest claim to fame was how he handled Hermes Gasparini. Extremely impressive. And a lot of people from that point forward thought he was the man. Like, this guy is gonna crush everyone. Well, then we saw him pull Dave. And what we saw was his hand and wrists are world class. He just didn't really have the arm of a top 20 guy just yet. But he looks amazing. And still, I mean, the kid's young. He's got a lot of room to grow. Now let's look at Corey for a second. Corey, last time before he started training with me, or maybe the week or 2 weeks after he started training with me religiously, he went to the Arnold Classic, and I think he lost to Barboza and somebody else. Then he comes here, starts training, pretty much goes on a winning streak, beats pretty much everyone he arm wrestles. He did end up losing 2-1 to Paul Passmore in his WAL debut on the undercard, which I did not see that happen. I saw him destroy Paul first round and celebrate, and then Paul just came back and won the next 2 matches. Well, after that, we didn't see him lose a round. He didn't lose a round. Beating Michaelo, Don Underwood, Nick Zena, pretty much everyone he pulled until he pulled Todd Hutchins. And people seem to misremember how that match went. They're like, Todd destroyed him. Well, the first match, Corey almost flipped him over the table. And then it ended up being a 3-2 win for Todd. I don't consider that destroying somebody. But that match was 8 months ago. So a lot of things have changed since then, in my opinion. Corey since then has had very big performances. His win over Krause, when Krause is ranked number 10 in the world and he beats him 3-0, that's our first comparison. Now we're talking about 2019 Alex, who pulled Krause at that time, and Krause came out on top. But then you have Corey, who just pulled Krause and just destroyed him. And within 30 minutes after that match was over, Krause sends me a text and says, no one has ever beat me in a hook like that. So that's huge. That's huge. Well, then we just saw Corey have a right-handed match versus Mega Mike, but then a left-handed match against Ryan Espy, who was ranked number 2 in North America, and Ryan had just recently beat me pretty easily. Corey caught the hit and just ripped right through him. Now this is our second comparison. What I saw Alex do to Ryan Espy was extremely impressive on the left arm, considering how good Ryan's left arm is. But I got to tell you, what Corey did to Ryan seems more impressive. It seemed like he had a lot less trouble than what it looked like Alex did. Although Alex dominated 6-0, in my opinion, Corey looked more impressive. So we have two opponents that they both have pulled, and in both times, in my opinion, Corey had the better performance against those guys. Now that doesn't really mean a lot, because those matches were, not that long ago for Corey, a little bit longer ago for Alex, quite a bit longer ago for Alex with Krause. But let's talk about the two athletes personally. All the advantages and leverage and gifts that Alex has, long lever, big hand, I think are going to end up being disadvantages against Corey. What I mean by that is his long lever means he's not going to drag as far. I don't think he's going to have enough pad to open up Corey. He's going to have to open up the angle of his arm to come down to Corey's shorter lever. I mean, Corey's 6'3.5". He's not a short guy, but he's got the same levers I do. Alex has much longer levers. Corey also has not the longest thumb. So now the riser of Alex will have to be dumped to show Corey's knuckle. I think all these things that generally are advantages for Alex are going to be disadvantages of Corey, and it's going to allow Corey to get. Corey's hand and wrist are huge. When he started training me 3 years ago, his wrist was 8 3/4. We measured it a month ago, and it's 10 1/4. It's literally like a bear paw. The guy's amazing. I'm so excited about this match. I know you guys are going to be like, you're biased. I really think I'm telling the truth here. But let's just say, hypothetically, Corey does beat Alex. Alex is currently ranked 7th in the world. Does Corey automatically just take his spot and everyone else moves down? Or does Styles make matches? We don't know, but we know one thing. If Corey comes out on top of this, there's nobody in the world that can say he's not world-class elite. And my money's on Corey West. How good is Corey West? Tune in June 25th, Core Sports, and let's all find out together.
Other words I could have used rather than huge. Enormous. Massive. Gargantuan. Really fucking big. Monstrous.